Welcome to the second edition of the Z.L.A. National News. Today we'll discuss several subjects: the Palestinian attacks on civilians, two subjects about our dear friend Frank Walter. We'll discuss after that about the Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and then I have a question for the viewers. So let's begin. Palestinian attacks on civilian vehicles continue. As it seems, the so-called peace-loving Palestinians keep throwing stones, pipes and even Molotov cocktails at Israeli cars and buses driving alongside the temporary Israeli-Palestinian border, or in other words, the wall. What is most concerning is the fact that there are parents alongside their children throwing objects at passing cars. How long will this phenomenon continue? How long will it take to the IDF to assure safe passage for Israeli cars? Well, this question is being asked for over 8 years. The victims till now are 3 with 13 injured. Despite Palestinian Fatah government talks of peace and coexistence, Palestinian civilians, and I repeat civilians, continue their aggression towards innocent Israeli civilians. What do you have to say? Add your comment about this phenomenon and we'll be glad to read and hopefully respond. Well, I say that this phenomenon is outrageous. How come that parents, instead of teaching their children of harmony, of coexisting, learn them how to throw rocks and hurt people? How come that everyone criticizes us for being extremists while the civilians, not armed groups, but parents, normal parents, everyday parents, teach their children about hatred, about killing? Well, what do you have to say? This is what I said. Now let's go on. Despite Frank Walter's claims about Israel sponsoring the settlements, Israel has destroyed one illegal settlement in the West Bank. Israel today has destroyed an illegal settlement somewhere in the West Bank, thus giving back more land to the Palestinians. Despite some claims made by one of Judaism's worst enemies, Frank Walter, of Israel sponsoring illegal settlements across the West Bank, it was made clear today that Israel wants peace with the Palestinians and not war, as dear Mr. Walter claims. This is one of many illegal settlements across the West Bank, and hopefully Israel will destroy those as well. How will the Palestinians respond to that action? Well, in the meantime, 2 Qassam rockets fell near the town of Dorot. Is this the kind of response Israel needs to get from that kind of gesture it made for the Palestinian people? Well, what do you have to say about that? Well, I say this is incredible. We give land, we give them what they want, and instead of thanking us, they throw rockets at our cities, they put civilian lives in danger. Why it is always us that need to give? Why can't they try to make some effort to stop the terror they are sponsoring? They are sponsoring terror, and this is one of their main goals of Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and another group that is called Achazit Ha'amamit. Their goal is to destroy Israel without any question, without coexistence. They will kill all Jews. I think many people around the world want, and I'm sure that Frank Walter is one of them. So let's go on. One of Frank Walter's lies is exposed, finally. I'm sure many of you have heard about Frank's claims that the USSR, under the rule of Trotsky, murdered 100 million Christians. This is a large number. He also claims that the USSR was under Jewish control and was pro-Jewish. He also claims that Trotsky ruled the USSR from 1990 to 1945. So there are 3 major glitches that he didn't take account of. First, Trotsky was killed by Joseph Stalin shortly after Lenin's death. Second, Joseph Stalin oppressed the Jews, forcing them to leave the religion and become 100% communists. And third, there wasn't even one Jewish representative in the USSR parliament, and Stalin created small departments to take care of the Jews, but those were closed in 1920, after Stalin decided that the Jews are not to be trusted. So I ask you, Mr. Walter, Why do you keep telling lies and lies and lies to the internet surfers? Why do you keep lying? What do you achieve? Is your goal is to spread propaganda and hatred? Why? Maybe something in the past? Maybe Jewish bullies teased you, bullied you in high school and elementary school? You have a problem and you need to take care of it. And if you support justice, what you claim to support, how come that you fake 10 sites in a false claim of wanting to donate the money to the poor survivors of Hurricane Katrina, and instead you took the money to yourself in order to aggregate your sites? You talk about justice where you steal the money from innocent people in a fake promise to give them to the poor survivors of Katrina. You have no right to talk about what is right and not right, what is justice and what is not justice. You just shut up, really shut up. What you, Frank Walter supporters have to say about him betraying the American nation, his soul, his so much love? Okay, let's go on. He loves so much, let's go on. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is being called a dictator by Iranian students. Today, in a press conference inside a university in Tehran, where Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was responding to students' questions about the Middle East, an unknown number of students rushed inside the hall and called him a dictator, evil rodent, and the devil itself. Well, it seems there are many voices in Iran, though most are being silenced by arresting and executing who don't like the oppressive Islamic regime. Still, all Shia Muslims in the country support this regime because it is made of pure Islam, while the rest of the non-religious people have to suffer harsh rules that counter the will of real democracy, a real democracy, and not a fake one which is being run in Iran. Well, how come that people criticize Israel for genocide, for apartheid, for injustice, for oppressive regime, while in Iran homosexuals, Baha'i groups, atheists, and even some Jews that are in opposition to the Islamic regime are being silenced by arresting and executing? How come you don't call this regime evil and Nazi? This is, and why? Because this hatred to Zionism is your excuse of your hatred to Judaism. Let's move on to a question to the viewers. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad suggested that everyone in the world should vote to where Israel should be transported. Where it is, Europe, Canada, or maybe the USA? Few days ago, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad suggested that everyone in the world should vote to where Israel should be transported. Well, if you ask me, I would gladly go to the US or Europe. What do you suggest? Make your vote. Thank you for staying tuned for this episode of the Z.L.A. news, of the Z.L.A. national newspaper. We hope we will see you tomorrow. Stay tuned for more information.